In today's conversation, I speak to Emily Jaenson about Emily's experience overcoming shyness to become a confident speaker and author on building confidence. In this conversation, we share 4 key takeaways, whilst Emily argues that leaders must acknowledge achievements and milestones to reinforce confident behaviours. I create clear thinking and decisive leaders who can amplify their influence. Contact me to find out how I can help you or your organisation. And today our guest is Emily Jaenson. How are you doing, Emily?
I'm great, Judith. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And Emily, tell me why you're great.
Tell you why I'm great. What a jumping in question. Here we go. Um, I'm here today because I speak to audiences about increasing their confidence. And the reason why I'm qualified to do so is because, for one, I started out my life as an incredibly shy person. I was once too shy to call and order a pizza on the telephone, let alone speak to audiences of, 1,000 people on a stage. And my career has been one of tremendous growth, from small town, too shy to order a pizza, to going to university, to my first job working for the Chicago Bulls in the NBA, where my tasks each day were to make cold calls to sell season and group tickets. So my dream job working in sports was also a living nightmare, having to perform the duty of cold calling each and every day. But what I learned through that experience was that forcing yourself to work outside your comfort zone and practice the behaviors of a more confident person can create a more confident person. And I've replicated that over and over and over again across my career, all the way to 2018, where I became the first female general manager of a AAA baseball team in almost 20 years. Baseball in America, Major League Baseball, the major club, and then you have AAA, single A, or AAA, double A, single A. I worked at the AAA level as a general manager of a baseball team, and then went on to do a TEDx talk about confidence that racked up 3 million views in just 1 year. And now I speak on stages to teach people how to increase their confidence. And I also wrote a book on the topic that comes out in spring of this year.
Wow. That's pretty something. It's a lot to unpack then. Why do you think why do you think your TED talk was so popular? Is it because that people really struggle with confidence?
Yeah, what's interesting is the more that I have spoken about confidence, you really get a range of responses from the people who are listening. Sometimes they'll say, my wife says I'm too confident, or they'll say, oh, I really lack confidence and I don't know how to get there, or it depends on the situation. The thing is that your confidence, I think, belongs on a spectrum. When you're in your comfort zone, you may be incredibly confident. When you're pushed outside your comfort zone, you can lack confidence big time. So I think everyone sort of resonates with that message, especially when I talk about what can happen if you increase your confidence and the impact that that can have on your life. I think that's when people really perk up, because more confident people, or in the case of a corporate structure, more confident employees, they experience less fear and anxiety. They have increased motivation. They have greater resilience. They have improved relationships with their colleagues, and they bring their authentic selves to work. And when I talk to audiences about the benefits of increasing your confidence, they all think like, wow, I'd love to work with people like that. I'd love to be that person. And Emily, what you're telling me is that there is hope. And there is. I think confidence is a skill set. It's a myth that you're born with it. And whatever you have is what you have forever. That's untrue. It's a skill set that you can grow over time by practicing the behaviors to change your attitude.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So how do we go about becoming more confident then?
Yeah, well, I mentioned your comfort zone. I think we all understand that term and we love to exist there. The body really likes it. We have these remnants of our original brain that understand fight or flight, and we want to stay in our comfort zone and be safe. And we apply that safety to so many situations, whether it's at work, being too nervous to volunteer for a new project or ask for a promotion, or we apply that comfort zone to a goal where we think, oh man, it would be really cool to become a better, faster runner or complete a 5K race, but I've never done that before, so I'm sure I can't do it. You remain in this comfort zone, but when we push ourselves outside of those boundaries and we survive, which we often do, it tells our brain, okay, like we can do this. We can go for a little bit more and still be alive, number one, but number two, like I kind of enjoyed that. You get this nice hit of dopamine when you achieve something new. So I talk about a lot of different behaviors that you can practice, but one that I like the most, because I worked in sports and I was an athlete pretty much my whole life, and that is the behavior of counting yourself in. It's as simple, Judith, as 3, 2, 1, go when you encounter a difficult situation. And I've had more difficult situations that I can count in my career, but one that I vividly remember from my days as general manager of a professional baseball team is I was standing on the warning track about 30 minutes before game time, and I looked over at the opposing team, and they were wearing the wrong color uniform. If you know even the basics about sports competition, you understand that the teams need to wear opposing colored jerseys. They need to look different when they're on the field. And I would have rather turned on my heels and headed back up to my office rather than had a very uncomfortable conversation with a grown man asking other grown men to change their clothes. But instead, I faced him head on and said in my head, 3, 2, 1, go. And I started walking towards him. And we had a very uncomfortable conversation about the team leaving the field, heading back to the locker room, and changing their uniform in order to look the right way for the game and for the TV. And I survived that conversation. I managed to get to the end of it, get a result, and my confidence grew a little bit for engaging in those difficult conversations in life. Because when I asked myself, like, who am I and who do I want to be? I wanted to be the type of general manager that didn't shy away from conflict. I would stand up for the team, for the league, and what was true to the game. And by practicing that behavior of engaging in a difficult conversation, I was able to grow my confidence just a little bit and expand my comfort zone. And it all started with the simple behavior of 3, 2, 1, go. So counting got me started, and then that momentum kept me going through that conversation.
Okay, thank you. Why do you think that worked though? It sounds like, were you anchoring confidence? What were you doing?
So in that situation, I knew what needed to be done, but inside was this very extreme level of discomfort where my natural tendency would have been to maybe pretend like I didn't see it because I was more comfortable in retreating from the situation than I would have been engaging in that conflict. And it's because I was lacking confidence in myself, in my skills, in my position. I mean, a whole stream of consciousness was going through my head saying, like, Emily, this is only your second season. This guy has been managing baseball teams for 20 plus years. Who are you to tell him what to do? And it's this, I think that people really resonate when they start thinking about what might be going on inside your mind. And I had to put a stop to that and say, Emily, who are you and who do you want to be? And the answer was not somebody who shied away from that type of conflict. I needed to engage. But my natural tendency and my natural shyness was to retreat in those types of situations. So using this tool, using this behavior of counting myself in, got me started. As soon as I started walking towards him, I wasn't going to get halfway there and U-turn. I had committed to engaging in that conversation. And ultimately, counting got me started, and momentum helped me to finish that conversation. And when it ended, you have this sort of realization like, oh, wow, my natural tendency was thinking the worst. Oh gosh, what is he going to say? Is he going to yell at me? How is this going to go? I don't feel prepared. I'm too shy. Oh, I don't know if I have the experience to, okay, I had that conversation. It went all right. And I'm going to get a result. And so the next time I encounter a situation where I need to have a difficult conversation with someone, I can then reflect on the fact that I've done this before and I can do it again.
Brilliant. Thank you. So that's showing how you use it, but I was just wondering, why did you choose that methodology? Did you sit there and say, right, I want to anchor confidence, so this is the words and the feelings I'm going to have, so that's why it could be used quite easily? I mean, because I imagine if someone hasn't got confidence, just saying 1, 2, 3, go isn't going to make them confident. So I was wondering if there was anything else that you had done.
Well, it's not what's going to make them confident. It's what is going to help them to practice a behavior that can make them more confident. So the 3, 2, 1, go is the starter in order to get you to engage in the behavior that can change your attitude. And there's a myriad of different techniques that you can use. This is just one I selected for this explanation. And the reason I chose this one to talk about is because there's a lot of people who played sports as kids.
Yeah,
And during that time when we're playing sports as a kid, we're always showing up in a novel way. You're ready and prepared to learn, and your coach is going to teach you something new, and you're going to head into a competition. And at some point in our lives, we probably stop playing sports and we enter into the workforce, and we lose that practice of showing up, learning something new, trying it out, and performing to improve. So 3, 2, 1, go is really a reflection on working by the clock to get something done. So when you're a kid, you're engaging in some type of competition. There's a sports clock for just about every game out there, right? When the clock starts, you have to perform. So whether you're on the soccer field or the football field, when the clock starts, the game starts. So this 3, 2, 1, go is a reflection back into that action of performing on the court by the clock. It worked back then, and it's a technique that you can try and see if it helps you in the future. So 3, 2, 1, go, that doesn't improve your confidence. What improves your confidence is actually going when you complete the countdown.
makes sense. Brilliant. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you've written the book then. Tell us what the book's about and how does it work?
Sure. So the book is called Let's Go, A Guide to Increasing Your Confidence. And it is a response to the success of the TEDx talk. The
Right.
TEDx talk reached 3 million people in its first year, which landed that talk in the number 12 spot of the 16,000 talks uploaded to YouTube in 2022. And as a result, people said, hey, this is great. Like, we want more. So can you help us in a more deeper way to increase our confidence? And answered the call with the book. So we talk about behaviors that you can practice. We talk about the mindset, and then we talk about action. And during each chapter, I discuss my personal growth, sometimes Judith, and some pretty embarrassing stories, but I think you don't connect with an audience unless you get a little bit vulnerable. So hopefully there's a little bit of humor and, oh my goodness, I can't believe she did that. There's also stories of lots of successful female executives that have worked in sports and entertainment, or are professors at universities, who are lending their own advice to how to increase your confidence, along with research. And then there are activities at the end of every chapter, some different self-reflections, some goal-setting exercises, ways to focus your intentions. I mean, it really spans the whole spectrum of considering your confidence from, where you are today to where you want to go in the future. And the book it's a great read, but it's also a tool to help you to accomplish the goals that you have set out for yourself, or the goals that you might not have been brave enough to write down yet, but they're kind of burning in the back of your brain, saying like, come on, you've been thinking about this for years. And so the book is encouraging you, and it's saying, let's go.
Brilliant. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And it's useful for anybody, is it?
It is. Yeah, it's useful for anybody. Obviously, I'm a woman who wrote the book, and a lot of the interviews are with other women from my podcast, which is called Leadership is Female. But that doesn't mean that the messages are closed off to only one gender. I often speak in rooms that include men as well, and they think, man, when I saw you on the speaker docket, I thought this would just be a message for the ladies. And I took away so much from what you have had to say. So the book is really for anybody, but obviously it's told through the stories and the lens of a woman. So, men, buy it for yourself, buy it for the women in your life. Women, buy it for yourselves, buy it for your mentees, buy it for your mentors. It's really meant to be shared and worked, applied and practiced, because, if you just ask yourself that question, what could you accomplish? What could you do? How could you change your life if you were 10 times more confident? If you were brave enough to go after a new goal, if you were brave enough to ask that question, if you felt that confidence to uplift others, what could happen? And I just think we would live in a pretty incredible world. And I want to be a part of that and a part of sparking that revolution. So the book comes out in the spring this year, and I'm very excited to share that with the world.
Brilliant. Emily, that's really interesting. I'm just wondering, how does a leader take on board what you've got there and apply it to their employees? So how do they make their employees, or help make the employees, more confident in themselves based on the stuff that you talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two behaviors that I want to talk about related to leaders and employees. And the first one is one that fundamentally changed the type of leader that I am. And that is the behavior of cheering someone else on. And what I mean by that is, early in my career, in my 20s, maybe this is an afterglow of being an athlete my whole life, but there's a lot of competition. A lot of competition as among women, among it doesn't matter what gender you are, you're kind of competing for the job. And then you're competing when you get in the job, and you're competing with your coworkers, and you're competing with people you don't even know on LinkedIn. So many times you can log into the LinkedIn platform and see confetti exploding that someone earned a promotion or got some brilliant new job. And you're thinking, oh man, she did that and I'm still here. What am I doing? And you go down this like horrible shame spiral about how you're not measuring up when you probably didn't even apply for the job that this other person was awarded, yet it's making you feel horrible. And the way that I have combat this emotion is to cheer that other person on. So rather than feeling like, man, she did that and I'm still here, you can think, as Amy Poehler stated in her book, good for her or good for him, not for me. That's not your win. That's not your celebration. What if you practiced saying good job over and over and over again? Congratulations, well deserved. Wow, you worked so hard to get there. And your response to somebody else's win was celebratory rather than comparison or competition. And for me, that made a huge difference in my career, in my relationships, in the networking groups I'm in, and with the colleagues that I have. Over time, practicing behaviors of saying "good for you," not for me, helped me to separate where I am in my career with what the race that everybody else is running. So I would say leaders, let's start there. First of all, you've got to do it in your own networks. You can't be thinking that you're falling short every day. How are you going to be a successful and confident leader of your team if you're worried about what everybody else is doing? You also need to celebrate the success of your team and your teammates. And that's where celebrating is so important for leaders and for their teams. There are so many times when, let's say your sales team reaches their sales goal in early Q3, right? You set these goals out a year before. You thought, okay, here's what we're going after. Your team reaches that goal in early Q3. You still have several months left of the fiscal year. And rather than having an enormous celebration, whether that is high-fiving, whether that is emailing, the owner of your business, whether that is taking the team out for drinks or giving them Friday off or doing something to acknowledge the fact that they made the goal, many leaders turn around and say, we didn't set the goal high enough. You made the goal too early. What can we do before the end of the year? So they're skipping over the success of that team. And rather than reinforcing all of the behaviors that it took those teammates to achieve that collective goal, they're saying, oh, that was too easy for you. We should have set it higher, like keep working. That doesn't instill confident employees. That creates employees who think that they're never enough. Even when they do their best, their boss is saying, you can do more, or that goal was irrelevant. We should have set it higher to begin with. So never mind that you made it. Let's go after more sales. And so I think leaders, you really need to reflect on your behaviors and how you are treating your employees. Are you creating a culture where you're celebrating success, where you're celebrating reaching milestones, where you know things about the employees that work for you and celebrate milestones in their life, like running a 5K, like they're growing their family by having a child, like earning a new degree? Are you the type of leader who knows and celebrates those things, or are you just continuing to push without any reinforcement of that great behavior of your teammates leveling up? So I think those are things that leaders need to consider. Are you competing rather than celebrating? And are you forgetting to celebrate and just asking for more?
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. It's been so good to actually have you on the show, Emily.
Thank you, Judith. You ask really great questions. So it's been a lot of fun to be here and share these messages with your audience. And hopefully all of your listeners and all the Mavericks out there will understand why confidence is a key ingredient to success in business and in life.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you out there for tuning in to the Maverick Paradox podcast. I am Judith Germain, your host, and I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation.
The Maverick Paradox. Judith Germain is an author, speaker, consultant, mentor, and trainer, and the leading authority on Maverick leadership. She is the founder of the Maverick Paradox, which supports organizations to enhance their leadership capabilities and to help business owners develop and grow their businesses. Judith enables individuals, business owners, and organizations to improve their impact and influence. She is also HR Zone's leadership columnist, an international online radio host, and her expert opinion has appeared in national, international, and trade press.